You are now listening to the Nights Around the Table podcast.
This episode of Nights Around the Table is sponsored by Lott's Salt Company, the #1 supplier of premium biblical salt. Whether you're seasoning your steak, preserving fish, or just need a cautionary tale for your kids, Lott's Salt Company has you covered. Family owned since, well, that incident. Our motto, don't look back unless you check for the flavor. Use the promo code PILLAR10 for 10% off your first sack of salt. Lott's Salt Company, we stand by our product, literally.
That is, do you think it's ironic or it's something that's very telling that it was the woman that turned into salt?
Oh.
So they're always so salty.
We've made it 10 episodes. We're not getting canceled now. That is today's not a sponsor. That is, once again, just a fun little ad read before we get started of our fake biblical sponsors. And it's been fun. This has been a great season. In today's episode, this is episode 10. We are officially putting a bow on season number 1. And we have a lot of great plans for our future seasons, a lot of great guests we're going to be bringing on. The whole idea of these podcasts are to sharpen each other, to sharpen our listeners. We've heard a ton of great feedback from our listeners and how, they have been encouraged by our conversations that's happened around this table. And that really has been our prayer from the beginning, that we would sharpen each other, that we would equip each other through our perspectives, through our stories, through our experiences, and through our testimonies. And this is not the end, but this is only the beginning, I would say, for Nights Around the Table. And the conversations will only get deeper. We'll bring other people to the table, and looking forward to that. I hear the women and the wives have been a pretty strong request to have back at the table. So a lot of great things that we're going to be able to do in the future through this podcast. And as we kind of wrap up our first season, kind of wanted to look at that idea of sharpening each other. And what does that mean for men? What does that look like to sharpen one another, in today's world? Yeah.
And before I get to that, I wanted to touch on your point about the whole concept of this podcast and how cool it is that men are willing to just do a podcast like this, talk to each other about the problems. Because obviously the women were popular and it's good to have them on, but I think in a world where, a lot of times you get radio silence with men, when there are problems or whatever, it's good to have an avenue or an outlet to be able to discuss the things that happen to men or, men are involved in, but, do it in a way that's godly and it, like you say, it builds each other up.
For sure.
So, but no, you're talking about the iron is sharper than iron. So that comes from, just in case you didn't know, listeners, that's Proverbs 27:17. And it says, iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another. I was thinking about adding context to that, but this is one of those passages in Proverbs where he kind of spews a little bit of everything, every kind of proverb. But to Jonathan's point, the verse before that says, a continual dripping on a rainy day and a quarrelsome wife are alike. No. No, I mean, I don't think that's directly correlated there, but
I mean, hey, it's biblical.
That is.
It's the whole point of iron sharpens iron sharpens iron. Though it's very every one of you, or all three of us here, we are a leader in some aspect, and every man, if you're a father or a husband, you're a leader of your household, and you don't want to be the weakest link. If you're ever a part of a team, you don't want to be that weakest link. This is how I'm looking at it now. So I don't want to speak for y'all, but so as if you're with, like, we're in a group right here, we've been meeting weekly, or if we start monthly, whatever your timeline is on your groups that you meet. So I'm upheld, or you hold me accountable. I hold you accountable, and same with Zack. And when I go home and I'm, something comes up, I have a rough week or something, and you start getting those temptations, or either your whatever may be, whatever it is you're looking at that you might have a gray area, a black area, whatever, you don't supposed to be in there. So I look at it and I'm like, well, Evan and Zack, they wouldn't do this, or they would not be approving of me doing this. I can't do this because they wouldn't. And they, knowing that they wouldn't do it, I can't do it and then let them be better than me. And not like I'm competing, but use it for motivation.
Right,
If I know if they can do it or they can uphold this standard of living, then I can do it. And if I'm not doing it and they're doing it, that means they, you know, again, because I don't want to compare, because you shouldn't do that. But if you can do it and I can't, I feel like I'm falling short.
Yeah.
Not just of falling short, but falling short of my abilities.
Sure.
So I look at it as it's, again, iron sharpen iron. That's pretty much the definition. That's how I look at it. That's how I get my motivation. And also, y'all hold and not just y'all in particular, but other people, your groups, your friends, your family, hold you accountable, and then you meet those expectations.
Yeah.
And you always do have your times when you don't, but then they hold you accountable. They bring you back, and you pick them up, encourage them, and then you go on again.
Accountability is such a big part, I believe, of the Christian walk. I have found in my life that I am strongest when I am not doing life by myself. And that's really why we say I know pastors say it all the time, but it's important to find a community like a church to involve yourself in. You get so much encouragement, so much strength. You know, when I think of iron sharpens iron, that is not a gentle process. If you've ever seen iron sharpening another piece of iron, like there are sparks flying and there are things that are happening. It is not it's not like velvet rubbing up against. Know, it is grinding. It hurts.
It's going through the fire.
And and I think about even our testimonies that we've shared around this table. Some of that is not easy to talk about. You know, some of the things that we've experienced hurts. It brings back a deep emotion. But ultimately, it's God has refined us, and as we're talking about it, as uncomfortable as it is, we are refining others, and that process can be very not very gentle sometimes. It can
Very
be
uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
But I mean, iron sharpening other sparks that brings heat. Heat is, you know, you get under the heat lamp, and it is uncomfortable. But it's my dad used to tell me, he said, this is when we were being disciplined as a kid or whatever. He said, what you're getting right now hurts, but as you get older, you still have to get discipline, meaning you get correction. Sure. He said, and God's whippings are a whole lot worse than his. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, as you get older and you experience that and you kind of understand what he's talking about, he's right. But so that's kind of what I was thinking about when you're saying that. So when you're a child or you're a kid, leather softens hide. You're older, iron sharpens iron. Yeah. So it kind of correlates.
He used to tell you all that?
Well, I just thought of that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That sounds like a proverb.
Yeah, it does.
Is that a law or no?
It is. But I mean, I mean, I know y'all said y'all experience. That was my experience as a child.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So, and it doesn't change. You correlate being disciplined or brought back to the, cross.
Yeah.
And it's not fun time. It's not a easy time, and it's not comfortable time, but it's the same experience and feelings I had as a kid being disciplined, bringing, putting in check there.
Yeah.
It's the same feelings. It's just a different, you're a different spot in your life.
Yeah. I mean, and, Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, according to scripture, once he asked the Lord for wisdom, he, in that verse there, he kind of indicates, just what the Christian life is going to be like. I mean, when you have a lost person that comes, say, to your church and you reach out to them and, you help lead them to the Lord, it's not all glitter and gold,
right.
When you first start. I mean, even Jesus said himself, like, you're going to be persecuted, like, there are going to be things said about you.
Yeah.
And so the Christian life itself is a sharpening process. I mean, it's from start to finish.
Right. And I often think about too, just popped in to my head, like, I guess we should be careful what we are pairing ourselves or who we're pairing ourselves with, because not every material sharpens iron. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you put a block of wood next to iron, it's only going to dull it, really.
Yeah.
And when I think about even as a father, and I got a little 8-year-old son, so we're still in the innocent years, I guess, of his youth. But we talked about friends, how friends are important, and make sure that, your friends, we can be friends with everyone, but make sure the ones that make sure we're leaders. And if you're running with a group, make sure they're a good group that's going to help you, encourage you, not pull you down. I saw a pastor one time, he got up on he had a volunteer or something, get up on like a platform, and he was like, pull me up, try to pull me up. And the girl couldn't do it. And he's like, but look how easy it is for me to pull you down. So his whole point was, it's a lot easier for friends, for you to be pulled down than for you to pull up. So make sure, and that's just kind of a side nugget, but that does go even with today, like make sure we are surrounding ourselves with people, with things that are going to sharpen us and making us better.
That's a good point too, because in this case, I think the wood can even be material object. It could, not just people, but material objects. And so, I mean, I think that proverb kind of opens it up to interpretation as to what that even means. Because you think, the sword of the Spirit, that's iron. So, you can sharpen yourself with iron in that way, like by scripture and correction and conviction.
That's right.
But as far as the wood, like, I guess, what is the wood in your life? And I think obviously we've kind of told our testimonies and what that wood is like in our lives. But
right.
But that's a good point.
Yeah.
And y'all know this because y'all are, I don't want to say younger generations know this, but how the YouTube and influencers now, there's kids making millions of dollars and they don't ever, leave their bedroom. Right. Just being, putting social media clips together or whatever. Well, and I don't want to throw my parents under the bus, but they're a little, how would you say it? They don't just trust anything, and they know the Bible more than I do. So I mean, I can't go dispute some stuff that it say without, they can present facts and scriptures and how they show me how they got there. However, they will watch YouTube pastors or people who put their stuff on there, which is again what it was created for, and is a good thing when it's used correctly. But they'll go watch these people and then like forward it to you or say, look at what he says. And in context, if you take it as what you're interpreting as how they would interpret it or mean it to be interpreted, it is correct. But then you go look at these people and they have ulterior motives. So, and this is what scares me a lot. So you watch these people and then it's they're funded by somebody else or they're doing commercials by or for someone else that is totally, we're way out there. Like I'll give you an example for my mother again. I love my mom. She's wonderful. But she had this, I think it was on YouTube, sent us this clip, me and all my sisters. And it was, if you listen to what he said and interpret it like the Bible says this right here, it was great. It was like, yeah, that's true. And I was like, something is weird about this. And then you looked at the bottom of the screen, he's got all his, what do you call them things? Like your links you go to and stuff. And it wasn't like, I think maybe 2 of them later, you go to link to there or link to that one. And then that was his homepage. And then it was a psychic. I was like,
oh no.
So I told my mom, I called her back. I said, did you like look into this guy? I said, he's not like,
I thought you were gonna go. It went to a link where you can give, or
there's that too.
Basically,
and they're not after true scripture or biblical principles or whatever. They're trying to get money one way or another. Whether it's to con you out of it or whether it's to do something that's actually opposite of what the Bible teaches. They're after money, and so that's another thing where you can hold me accountable. So when I get this, like she got it, she looked at it, interpreted it as a biblical piece, passed it on to us. We look at it, do some checking in, and be like, so then we let her know, and then she's like, oh wow. So it's again where you are held accountable. But for people who are not informed about that stuff, they could hook, line, sinker.
Right.
And it wouldn't take them long before they're, it's hard to like convince them otherwise. Because,
Yeah.
So that's a little thing that I get a little nervous about and scared about, not just for me and my family, but for, the world in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just thinking like, okay, so we know that is a thing. How, I guess the question is, and I have an answer in my mind here, but for you guys, how do we navigate a world that is not all the things of this world are not all going to sharpen us? And how do we sift through that or sift through the motive? How do we navigate life to find that iron? And my answer to that would be the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. That's good.
And discernment that the Holy Spirit provides. I mean, obviously, as you find out more information about people, or as you look in, as you hear more, you're going to, as things kind of uncover themselves, you'll probably be able to see what they're made of. But the Holy Spirit will also help. I mean, sometimes there's moments in my life where I'll be watching a video or something, and all of a sudden I just get this heavy conviction, like, you need to turn that. That's not doing anything for you. And I think the Holy Spirit is kind of like you said. It's whenever we don't know what to do, who to turn to. Sometimes that Holy Spirit and that word, that sword of the Spirit, will sharpen us for those moments to know how to cut through some of that fluff of this world to really land on solid ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking about, and I think I'm slowly starting to figure it out because I've had at least some sort of method to doing this lately. But as far as the practical steps of the ironing, sharpening iron, the accountability, I guess you'd say, with men, what does that look like? Because obviously women are the type that, they go to coffee shops with their girlfriends and they'll dish on, their lives, and they'll talk about it. They'll cry, they'll pray, and they'll hug, and they'll go home. And then men, we're perfectly content, going to a football game, shaking hands, say, "Hey man, how's it going?" Watching the game and saying, "All right, man, good to see you." And not say a word to each other during the game and then head on home. Right. So I guess what is a proper godly man, a Christian man's approach to accountability?
That's a good question. I think it depends. I think everybody's maybe a little different, and I don't think there's like a cookie cutter way that we can say, this is gonna be always what it looks like to be in an accountability group. I think having those conversations. I think we talked about this around the table, being open, finding people that we can be open and honest with. It's very easy for men to. We like to be very guarded and closed, but the first step in moving forward in life, through whatever it is we're going through, is a lot of times just getting it out there and talking about it. So I whatever that looks like, whoever that is, but I think we can find that group in a faith-based community like a church, somebody that has characteristics of a man of integrity. That whenever you do get together, he will sharpen you. Whether it's a elder, somebody that's walked through life, somebody a lot more seasoned. Maybe it's somebody who's walking in life with you, walking in the same path with you. But there's always, we got to find a way to be connected somehow, so where we are arm in arm supporting one another, and that you can never have accountability accidentally. It's always going to take some type of intentionality. It's going to take effort. Sure. So it's not, and again, it's not comfortable. It's not easy to go up to somebody and be like, "Man, like, could I just give you a call, once a week or something, or maybe could we sit down and I don't know, I don't know, whatever that looks like." But I think we have to be very intentional to find that. That's a very important part of our Christian, or of not just Christian health, but as our health as men.
Yeah, and the person or persons you're talking about, they have to be good at listening, but also they have to be able to correct you whenever you're wrong. Right. And like somebody that you know that can do that and not get butthurt about, basically. So I know I've probably mentioned it before, but I have a good friend of mine who I grew up with. I mentioned on the Testimony 2 podcast, but we meet once a week to hold each other accountable, ask how our weeks are going, and if there's anything we need to pray for each other about. But going along with that, I heard a while back ago, it's probably been 5 or 6 years ago now, it was a really good piece of advice I felt like somebody gave me on men accountability. And it was basically that every man should have one Paul and one Timothy, meaning like you should try to do your best to find a good mentor or somebody you can look up to.
Yeah.
And somebody that gives you correction, gives you teaching, but also in the same vein, you have a Timothy that you can be raising up and training up.
That's good.
I thought
that
that
was pretty
really
good.
I like that.
Yep.
Sound advice.
Also, though, it's hard to be accountable or held to accountability if you are being very elusive or not out there.
Well, it's no good at that point.
Yeah. But I mean, like your testimony last week, until you wanted to be held accountable, you don't. And I mean, that's not just you; that's everybody. Right. So, because the stuff that you obviously are hiding or don't want known, it's difficult to face. Yeah. And a lot of times it could be embarrassing or cause issues wherever else in your life. So you don't want that to be out there, and you can't be held accountable if no one knows. Right. At least by your peers or your family. I mean, God always knows, and at some point He will hold you accountable. But so it takes someone who wants to be held accountable, and that's where the iron sharpens iron. But then you also have to, and you're not going to do that by just going to church on Sunday,
right?
Because there's not enough time. Generally, you don't have that relationship with them, and so you're not going to just start unless you're one of the people who don't, harbor secrets or whatever. Their life's out there, but if you look at the anybody who decides to run for public office, and the higher it gets, the worse it is.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, Independent, it doesn't matter what your affiliation is. As soon as you declare I'm, putting myself out there, your whole history, you can't have a secret. No. And that's what it's like, and almost need to be. So if you don't have a secret, you don't care. Like, here's my life's book, read it, put it out there. I don't care. Then it's very easy to hold you accountable, and it's also very easy to live righteous because everybody, you're under a microscope. Not necessarily for politicians, because obviously
right.
They don't have that reputation. But as a person in general,
it's a man of integrity.
Yeah, if you're out there right. and you have all these people's eyes on you, it's a lot easier to make that right decision because So that's another thing. If you put yourself out there for your core group, now I'm not saying let's go put it out there for the world like that, but for your core group, whoever your people are that are going to sharpen you. You let them in your life, it's easier to be held accountable, and it's easier for you to, live a righteous life.
I agree, 100%.
But that takes some discipline and some humility.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and he brings up a good point there with the community aspect because, I don't think God's original intent and design was for us to be in isolation because I've heard that basically the enemy thrives in isolation. So I think the longer you are stuck in something, whatever it is, and you don't either seek help or you don't seek accountability, you don't want to basically face the music with anybody.
That's right.
The enemy's just going to keep you trapped in whatever that thing is.
Right.
It's only in community where in church or with godly friends, godly correction that you're going to end up either exposing that stuff or learning to fight it.
That is true. Yeah. Like, I just thought of this too. So you ever walked into a dark room, and you've been in a really bright outside, sunny day, 12 o'clock, brightest part of the day, and you walk into a really dark room, you can't see anything. No. It's so hard to function, to move around, to do anything. It's almost like being blind. But the longer you're in the darkness, the better you can see, the better you can interact, the better you can, and then before you know it, it's hard to walk outside, and it hurts your eyes. You can't move. So the longer you're in sin, the easier it is. And that's something, you know that self-consciously or subconsciously, that. It's instinct also, but you don't necessarily explain it or understand how to explain it. So you walk in, you're living in sin, and it's a lot easier to do the longer you're in there. You
get more comfortable with it because your first instinct is to want to be scared too. Like when you're first exposed to that darkness.
Yeah, you're so uncomfortable. You're awkward. You like it, if you go to born and raised in church, and then all of a sudden you stop going. It's easier. The first couple Sundays is awkward. You feel like everybody's judging you. You're wrong. You have that, and you think everybody's judging. It's not. That's your conscience getting to you. And then the longer you don't do it, the easier it is not to. That's right. And then before you do it, you're not only are you not in church, but you're in places you probably shouldn't be. Right. And then you are in places you shouldn't be. And you know good and well, but it's so easy to do it. Yeah. And then it's so hard to get back. Like we were talking about, I think last podcast, it's hard to, get back where you're supposed to be. And the older you get, you think, when I'm 40, when I'm 50, it's harder then than it is when you're 18. Right. And life doesn't get any easier. You don't get any less busy. You don't get, money comes into it, but there's always more bills. Yeah. And it's just it never ends. And so it doesn't get easier. Yeah. I was thinking about, this just kind of came up in my head as we're talking about all this, is the practicality of the iron sharpening iron. That iron sharpening the other iron reveals potential and purpose. Like if you have just a dull block of metal or whatever, it might be very unfortunately kind of useless in ways. But as you sharpen, you kind of see, this is my purpose. This is what I'm able to. That's good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's almost like before the refining process starts, you're just a chunk of metal. Yeah, you might not know what you're even here for. Yeah. There's so many people that I think that go through this life that feel like, well, this is all I got. This is everything, and it's almost like through that refinement, God can show us what is actually hasn't been unlocked inside of us. Like he can show us the stuff that we can't even consider. Yeah, because after a while it starts to take shape and you're saying, okay, my purpose in this case, taking it literally, like my purpose is to be a sword, or my purpose is to be a dagger, or my or whatever and you think about, using our testimonies as an example, how sometimes kind of hurt or ashamed or embarrassed or whatever, that it'd be so easy to be over our stories. Like you think about what God did and has through that refinement process. You think about the practicality of how God is able to use that. It's not just a block of metal. It's like it's literally a testimony, a sword that slices through the lives of the enemy to show that there's purpose and there's a plan, and none of this is for nothing. There's a illustration that I heard one time, and I'll never forget it, about potential. The Navy SEALs use a 40% rule. Have y'all heard me talk about that? So the Navy SEALs have found that whenever they're taking their SEAL cadets, or those guys going through the SEAL process, when they get to the point that they don't feel like they can take another step, they feel like their body's going to give out, their heart's going to explode out their chest, they can't take another step forward into the process. They're only at 40% of what they're capable of. Really? That's what they say? About that. Yeah, scientifically they found, well, through trial and error years, 40%. When you don't feel like you can give anything else, you're only at 40% of what your body and what your mind is capable of. And if you can ever push through that, you're not even halfway. If you consider that statistic, you're not even halfway to what you are capable of yet. When you feel like you can't go on anymore. And that thing really stuck with me, because how often, if I'm sitting in isolation, I may feel like, well, this is all I got. This is as good as life's going to get. But maybe through that refinement, there could be even greater things on the other side of that refinement process than what we even see and what we even can think is possible inside of us. God has a way, man, of using the least of these to do the most incredible things. So there's purpose and there's potential. And I think God can reveal that through that accountability, through that sharpening process. And even in that process too, generally there's not a whole lot of waste either, because
say metal that has been, shaved off or whatever, they don't usually just toss that. They usually, put this in another bin and use it for something else. And what I'm trying to get at is, it may not be beneficial for you at that time, but you may come to find later that maybe that same piece that was refined could be used as wisdom or, reproach or something towards a friend that is in the same situation that you were in.
Right.
So you can teach them, say, hey, I've been there, I've done that. And I know a lot of times you talk about wisdom. If you're older, you go through these things and you're able to relate to them because you go through similar things.
Yeah.
So,
the old saying, to be old and wise, you must first be young and stupid. So you gain wisdom through experience or divine intervention. Like God just gives it to you. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot easier to get it given to you or from experience standpoint. But I mean, you get it if you experience it and you understand that oven is hot and, what pain is and where it comes from.
Yeah. Well, this has really been good conversation that's kind of brought a lot of good thought to the table. And we'll take a little minute to get into our first segment, the silly stories with the boys. This is a good opportunity for us to add a little bit of flavor to our podcast.
This is to share some life experiences.
Yeah.
Some of that wisdom. And the story, I told y'all when we came in here that I had the story, or y'all's story I wanted to hear.
Okay.
And it was, y'all told this story to me, but it was a good one. It was when y'all went on y'all's high-speed pursuit.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a great.
I've been on 3 high speed pursuits, and I'm not a police officer.
That's correct.
And
but was Evan involved?
Evan involved was in one of them.
One of them when he was in. That was the good one.
That is a good one. Yeah. So, I have a problem. I am. I run to the fight. And a lot of times,
don't tread on me.
Yeah. And if I see something going down or a problem, I want to be the guy that like stop, or either finds if there's an injustice or if there's a crime, like I'm not just going to stand by and watch something go down. Well, it's really wasn't a crime per se, I guess, but it was definitely suspicious behavior.
It could have been.
Could have been.
We don't know.
We were all eating at the house at my parents' house. It was like Monday night.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And I get a Ring doorbell notification. There's a car pulled up in my driveway, and he's just sitting there. And I'm sitting watching him on the camera. I'm like, what is this guy doing? He's just sitting there. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go up there and like find out what's going on. If he needs something, or if he's looking for me. I didn't know who he was, so I got in my truck. And or the Durango, I can't remember which one it was. Anyway,
it was the truck.
It was, and Evan was like, "I'll go up there with you." You might need to inject at any time, Evan. I don't know what your side of the story is.
Yeah,
like.
I'll get to it.
Okay, and so I was like, "All right, that's cool." So I went up there, and it was like dark.
Well, I didn't expect what was going to happen next. So I just volunteered without knowing. So.
He got in the danger zone.
Yeah,
he couldn't get out. So I got in the truck. Me and Evan go up there to the house. And we pull up in the driveway, and of course, my truck's 4-wheel drive, and this little car that was sitting in the driveway, I pulled right up in front of the guy, so my headlights are like beaming him in the face. And of course, I mean, if I put myself in that guy's shoes, he probably was really freaked out by that. Obviously, whatever he was doing, he dropped it in reverse and like started to take off, and I was hot on his heels, boy. I was like, get the license plate, Evan. I was like, yeah, we took off, and he tried to lose us, and we up there, and he ran a red light, didn't he?
Well, first of all, you're missing a piece.
Okay.
The stop sign, the very first stop sign at your road, because at this point, I didn't know what I'm getting into yet. So,
how long had you been a part of the family at this point? You weren't new, right?
This has only been probably a year and a half.
Yeah,
last year.
Okay, so we okay.
Yeah, but so anyway, I'm on the ride along with him, I guess you'd say. And so we pull up to the stoplight, and of course I'm in the passenger seat, and so the guy stops at the stop sign, and then we come in behind him, and then Zack pulls off kind of to the side of him, and he rolls his window down. So this guy's like on the right, you know. And I'm thinking, I don't know what this guy's doing. This guy could have anything, a gun or whatever. And so I do my best, like I'm tough face, but also I'm like kind of I'm forcing myself to the back of the seat as much as I can. So I'm like, you know, what you doing, man? You know, because if not gonna lie, if he pulled the gun, it would hit you first.
You want to talk to him?
So if he pulled the gun, I'd be like, sorry, Zach, you know. But
I forgot about that. I did pull up beside him and roll my window down, and he was like this right here. He didn't look.
No,
he didn't even look
contact.
at us. He was refusing.
So after we like looked at him tough, he's like, "Hey, what you doing? Like, what are you doing in our driveway?" Type of thing. Oh, he ended up speeding off, and that's where he can pick up now. So
and that was kind of it. He just sped off into the distance somewhere. I let him go. We got his license tag number, and I was like, if something comes amiss or whatever, I'll have a vehicle that we can look for or something. But yeah, I don't know what he was doing. He could have been like thinking he was at a friend's house or something, and he pulled up at the wrong house. I don't know, but there was a stalker in the neighborhood that I chased down, eliminated the threat.
Well, yeah, you're not exactly Captain America. You're Captain Congaree.
Hey, boy, and and then I got in a hit and run in Florida one time, and chased him down. And
so he was trying to get away.
He was trying to get away. He actually caused another accident in the process, and he was arrested. I just got my final. He was sentenced to like something like 6 years.
What?
Dang.
Justice served. Your boy got his man.
Why do you attract these individuals?
Well, I pray I don't do that anymore. But I just jumping on in. So
that was a good.
He got caught up in the ride along.
Yeah, I always joke that I feel like Kevin Hart in that situation. Like he's
So
the
that
Rock.
may be the Rock.
Yeah, he's like, hold on, hold on. I'm like, but because it was, like I said, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was acting tough, and during the ride, I found myself just
Gripping.
Getting real quiet.
Yeah,
gripping the handle.
Are you sure you want to do this? That's
man.
funny. Well, my story is that was a good one. That was one of y'all's better ones. But so I've been in a lot of wrecks and hurt a little bit. We were talking about that today with we went for our last certification dive, and one of the instructors was an orthopedic surgeon, and I just was thinking about all the surgeries and broken bones I had. Well, the worst one I ever had was when I fractured my tib fib. My compound fractured it, but I was trying to qualify for Loretta's, and it was the last week before the regional, and so I was gonna go do a practice day out there, and then I think we were trying to be done. It was hot, so hot in early summer, and so we would try to get out there early and be done by like 11:30. Well, you would do 3 20-minute motos when I'd practice, and then my third one was my last one. It was my last lap. And come around, and I go through these rollers, and I was trying to skim on top of them. And they were pretty deep. They were like 3-4 foot deep, but they were like long rollers too. So you had to go into them really fast, and then I would try to wheelie into them so my front tire wouldn't hit the first one and pop you up. You would just stay up on top, and then you kind of get flat, skim them. Well, when I got in or came out of the corner, you click fourth, or I think you click fourth before you went into the corner. Anyway, it was a sweeper corner, so you can carry a lot of momentum. When I wheelied into them, I got wheel spin. So back tire kicks out a little bit. So about the second or third one in, I start swapping like this through them. Never fell, but my foot, and then, I wasn't staying straight. It was swapping pretty bad, but it wasn't so bad that I was like going to get kicked off or anything. But my foot came off the peg and hit the face of one of those rollers. And those rollers were like concrete. When it hit that, I felt a sharp, it wasn't a pain like a snap, it was like a burn, instant. So my heel hit that face, instantly compound fractured tib fib. It comes out. I didn't know it came out. Get to the truck. I rode right past my buddy who's standing in the field with his stopwatch. And he's like, "You just got another lap?" And I was like, "Nope." So go back to the truck, and then another buddy sitting out there. He'd just gotten off. So I said, "Hold this." He holds my bike, get off, lay down and put my foot up on the stand, the bike stand, and then take my boot off. And my sock looked like this.
Oh no.
Gosh.
And I was like, At this point though, I thought it was still broken, but I had to pull my sock. Had to like, pull the sock out and then back, because my sock was like knee high socks, and this is around my ankle, so I had to do that and it was so painful every time I did it. And then finally get off, I see my bone sticking out, and then I looked up at my buddy. I was like, because I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is not good, and looked back down at my leg, and it was like covered in blood again. So I was like, man, this is not what I wanted to happen. So get to my other buddy who's in the field. He starts walking up about this time, and he still doesn't know. So he sees it. He starts jumping into action. And one thing I will say about all of this, all of my riding, getting hurt and everything, learn to keep a cool head. Like, never panic, never, because you understand pain hurts really bad, but you kind of learn where your body can't take it anymore, and you know what's going to happen. You're going to pass out. So at this point, I'm still remaining calm, cool, but man, the pain is unreal. So get in the back of the truck. I get prepped up because I know what's going to happen in the hospital, and we get really good at like making you comfortable too, because this, as bad as it sounds, this is not, this is kind of a semi-common occurrence on handling stuff like this. So anyway, get me my little stretcher out in the back seat of the truck. The hospital was an hour away. Oh, I wouldn't call an ambulance because by the time they got there, it was an hour ride out for them and an hour ride back. So I wasn't going to wait on them. We go to the wrong hospital. First hospital we come up to, we passed this huge hospital in Augusta first. I don't know how we missed it. And then, because I was looking at the hospital too, I was like, there it goes. And I'm like, the pain, I just can't tell you how bad this was. It was terrible. And I was like going back from elevating it to moving on. And I couldn't like move much, but I like go on the side, this side, that side, lay on back, raise it up higher, down lower. So I had an hour to kind of like work around and try this. And then past the hospital, get to the next hospital. He goes up to the emergency room, tells the lady to come out. She comes out and sees, she goes, puts her hands on her head, and I'm looking at her dead in the eye. And she goes,
I think it's broken now.
No, she said, we can't do anything. We can't accept you. And I was like, oh, that's the last thing I want to hear. Because I'm thinking like salvation. I'm going to get help. And she's like, we can't help you. And I was like, I'm an American.
You're an American.
I remember saying that because I was so desperate for something. And she's like, well, by law, we have to take you, but there's nothing we can do. But if you go like 5 miles down the road, there's this great orthopedic hospital that they specialize in, foot surgeries and stuff. They will be able to help you. And I was like, you talking about that big one that we passed coming in here? And she's like,
oh no.
She's like, yeah. So go up to that one. This is where I knew that, I don't know how to say it. Like the devil was trying to get you, like cause you more pain. So we finally get this. And this is like another 15 minutes after the hour ride. So about an hour and 15 minutes later, pulled up to this one, can't find the emergency room. And there's like emergency room right here, signs all over the place. Pull up this, and it's like covered in plywood all the way around it. I was like, what is going on? And then it had this one little entrance. The emergency room was under construction. So you couldn't go into it. You had to like go around it was another 5-minute excursion. And then they finally get one of the doctors come running out to me, see me. And she come running out with a little clipboard. Like she's going to take my name and put me in line. She dropped her clipboard and said, oh my God. And then she runs out and grabs a wheelchair. They wheel me in there. Dude, I didn't even stop to sign my name. It was just straight to the back. And they took care of me after that. But the point of getting from the time it happened all the way to that was misery, sheer misery. Like I can't describe to you. That was the worst pain I've ever had.
Well, at least it's not the one here, because if you were trying to get in the one here, you might still be waiting in the waiting room.
Surprisingly, I'll share 2 more stories with that one. You remember they had that last race down there? Yeah. And Keeler was pregnant.
I almost said that because I didn't know if that was going to be a touchy subject with Keeler in the corner.
Pregnant with our oldest girl, Ro.
I raced in the pit bike race.
You raced in the big one.
No, I didn't have a big.
Was that the first one that you did? You did one because you took a hard right when the track
years ago. Left. Yeah, this was the most recent one. I did the pit bike.
Yeah. Well, she was pregnant, and I was racing. I took I went to Indonesia, flipped over. and my front tire locked up on the face of the jump. And when it did it, it just.
And from what I understand, she was like going to be going in labor like the next week.
She
or
was
so.
no.
And she told you
she was in labor like 2 days later.
Yeah. And from what I understand, one of the strict instructions was
do not get hurt.
Do not get hurt.
Yeah, I said, oh no, don't worry about it. And it's okay. So
when I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, when I woke up, she was standing over me and like 2 other people, and I just remember seeing her. I was like, this is not good. But I had broken my collarbone and punctured or collapsed my lung. One of those 2. So when we get to the emergency room,
wow.
And I've been to the emergency room multiple times. I've never had to sign a piece of paper.
That's amazing.
Or wait.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's not a good thing.
Talks about how bad you are every time you go.
So what I've found out, if you go to the emergency room, you either have to have something wrong with your lungs, your heart, or like severe bleeding. I forget what. I had a huge puncture, and they had like a tourniquet on my arm, and when I fell, the bike came over, and the handlebar, or not the handlebar, the brake pedal or gear shift, one of them, or it might have been the foot brake, stabbed me right there.
Oh.
And it was like deep gush. And so they put a tourniquet. So when I walked in again, I like had a trail of blood through the
wow.
OR, anyway, you don't always have to wait in the OR or the emergency room if you do it right.
I was going through the parking lot.
You learned how to get past all the nonsense.
I was pushing my little bike through the parking lot, and you were racing, and I was loading it up, and I heard something about somebody, the PA guy, come over and said that you know, Jonathan Jones is down or whatever. And Kristen was with me. She's like, is Jonathan down? I was like, nah, that's another Jones. I was like, that's somebody else.
That's another Jones.
I loaded my bike. I didn't even go back in. I loaded my bike up and went to the house. And sure enough, a couple days later, there's Keeler holding the baby, and Jonathan's standing there in his little sling holding the baby.
We were sitting there at the, she was in labor, so we went to the hospital. They said, no, ma'am, you're not ready yet. You wouldn't take her. She was like, I felt bad because you could tell she was in pain. It was not okay. So they sent her home. So we had to go back home. And at this time, my collarbone's broke. Like, they've diagnosed it. It is like this.
Oh.
But they said, you don't need surgery. I said, okay. But no, it wasn't like this. It was broke, but it was like hanging or something like this. So the next morning, we wake up, and she's like, all right, now it's time. We're going. I said, okay. So I was sitting on the couch. I had our bags and everything right there. And I just remember waiting her. I think she was brushing her teeth. And I remember I was just sitting on the couch, and I felt it. It went, my shoulder dropped like that. Oh. And I was like, oh, no. And then
this was before she
This is on the way to the hospital. Yeah. Oh. So then when we get to the hospital, I can't say anything. Like, I'm just like eating it. So I'm like, so if you look at me holding Roe for the first time, I got my arm in a sling like this. So then when she gives birth, we get to the room where they, you get out of the delivery room, they get you your first room. Then I leave there and I go into surgery. We both leave the hospital at the same time. I'm like drooling, like just coming off anesthesia and everything. I remember getting in the car, confessing my undying love to her mother, how much I appreciate her, and all, because she drove us home. And then I remember they had Chick-fil-A and drool. And then Keeler was in the car, the seat right beside me. And then Ro was like in between us in her car seat or something.
Oh,
and,
y'all had to get drove home?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Both of y'all?
Yeah, because I mean, I
hilarious.
could barely hold her. Like it was, oh man, I just remember going to the hospital, just sitting in the couch, waiting on her to come out of the bed. And I went, I was, no. So it was a great time.
Great time. All these stories of good choices, bad choices, bad experiences, good experiences are all hopefully
part of the sharpening process.
Yeah, hopefully you can learn something, learn maybe what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's really good. I'm very thankful that that we've had this conversation on Iron Sharpens Iron, because I feel like this is a very important subject to go out on, because this is ultimately the vision behind what we're doing. And this is the why, the why of what we're doing. We want to sharpen and equip listeners, sharpen ourselves around this table. A lot of times the stuff we talk about, none of this is rehearsed. So a lot of times this is all the first time we're hearing it too. So we're all on this journey of refinement together, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And we're praying that it can help supplement, our audience through the week. Like, in addition to Sundays and Wednesdays, like, a positive podcast to listen to that can help sharpen them and their faith during the week.
Definitely. definitely. Anything else that you guys want to add onto the sharpening?
I just the overall thing. I'm excited for the future, what the future holds with us and this podcast, and I'm excited about our guests. I'm excited about more testimonies, what the Lord has done in other people's lives. Because man, ours are just scratching the surface. I mean, there's a lot of other people that have really powerful stories. So I just can't wait to hear.
I like hearing how people both of y'all, and if we get our guests on, I like to do that too. Like how they go about their methods of operation, how they attack certain things, or how they look at things, their perspectives and stuff. Because like I was telling you, how I view the iron sharpening iron, and how y'all were saying how y'all view it, and I want to know how they view on not just that part, but any aspect of their life, or how they tackle certain mountains, or going through life challenges in general, and just see where they get their guiding light from.
Right.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm very, very, very interested in what the future holds for Nights Around the Table and the conversation that's going to be had here. And so that's just kind of another reason, I guess, to stay connected with us on social media as we get this second season rolling. We'll it'll only get better from here. So very, very excited. Well, segment number 2 now. I guess this is, what do we want to call this? Is this questions from Keeler? Is this what it is? Question.
Kelly here.
Yeah.
When we were diving, her name is Keeler. It is not spelled like that.
Right.
And every time they would say her name, it was different. Kelly here, Kalir. And then, after they'd always say it, I'd say it's Keeler. It's Irish.
Oh.
That was my favorite. It's my go-to. It's Irish.
Is it Irish? It is Irish. Wow.
I didn't know that.
I'd say it's Keeler. It's Irish.
Kelly here. Yeah. Okay. Questions by Keeler. Would you rather be a cowboy, a samurai, or a pirate? Cowboy, samurai, or pirate? This is trending on the internet.
I would say a samurai.
I want another question.
Okay.
I'm going to say cowboy. Sign me up for the cowboy. What type of bear was the bear in 2 Kings 2?
A ring bear.
A ring bear?
No, the bear in
Kings,
2 Kings chapter 2.
Do y'all know that story? Is that the she bear? She bear.
The sheep.
That's Elijah. Elisha was
the
walking
one
down the road.
The kids were taunting him about being bald?
That's right. The kids called him baldy. That is hilarious to me.
I thought you were going for like grizzly.
Yeah,
Oh, you were? Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't really say.
A she-bear.
A she-bear, which...
Mama bear.
A mama bear.
Yeah, okay.
And so the kids, said Elisha, obviously being a prophet of God, they mocked the prophet of God and they called him baldy, which is funny to me that the word baldy is in the Bible.
Yeah.
baldy. And Elisha cursed them in the name of the Lord, and a she-bear came out and mauled the kids.
Yeah.
And
I
he
do
just
remember
kept
that.
walking. That's a crazy story. 2 Kings chapter 2.
I'm going to go with it's a grizzly or brown bear.
Yeah, some form of an aggressive bear. Yeah, not a polar bear.
Not a polar bear, and not a what's the bear in the Jungle Book?
Yeah. Oh, Mosley. Is that his name?
Not Mosley.
Anyway,
Baloo, yeah.
Baloo. Yeah.
Mosley.
Mowgli.
Oh,
yeah.
clearly I haven't been caught up. You're right. Clearly I'm not caught up on my Disney. Okay, question submitted by Kristen, my wife. Would you... No, you didn't. This is not submitted by Kristen. Would your life be better if you listened to your wife more?
Listened? My life would be not near as good without my wife.
Absolutely.
Listening to my wife?
If you would have listened, you wouldn't have been holding a baby with one hand in the...
That's true. That's true. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Because a lot of the times... The reason we're in certain predicaments is because she didn't listen to me.
Oh.
It is. But I mean, a lot of times she's right. And I would say I love my wife.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely say that I am. I'm definitely not perfect, and I make a lot of mistakes. And I have learned that it's better to listen and to admit that when you're wrong, and to admit that you make mistakes.
That's so hard too sometimes.
Yeah.
It is.
I've done it so much. I'm just good at it now. I just say, man, I'm a dummy. I'm sorry. I should have done better.
The only thing I'll say on the matter is apparently I would get places a lot faster if I listened to. Yeah. So
like as in hit the gas, drive faster?
Well, or just like knowing, I mean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
She says I take a lot of back roads and I like to go secondary routes. I'm like, it's just that you don't know these other routes. So that's why.
I did that last night with Kristen.
Oh, you did?
I had my internal GPS. And I pointed it east, and I couldn't figure out how to get over there. So I was zigzag. We went through Columbia anyway. Yeah. So this year at Royal Rangers Powwow, they have to build a cardboard boat. How would you go about it? Well, I'm glad that Keeler asked, and that is a legitimate thing. We're racing a cardboard boat this year at Powwow, and but it's classified. I can't tell you.
You can't tell you how they're going to do it.
I
But
can't
if
tell
you
you.
didn't,
I will say this. They have given us some material listings of what we can and what we cannot use.
What are those? Because
cardboard, they have a name for them, but the ones with the little ribs in the middle, any size, in any thickness of that. You can use a solid piece of cardboard as well, but you can only use wood glue. Only wood glue. Not like my man did where he cut a hole in the bottom of the boat and put the screen door.
The Flex Seal.
Flex Seal. Yeah, you can't use Flex Seal. But you can use duct tape. And it did not give an amount of duct tape you can use. So I think, we have other outposts that listen to, we have other Royal Ranger commanders and stuff that listen to this. And we're not giving you, I will say this. There will be a wake behind our boat.
Oh, no. There will be a wake.
We're going for speed.
Is there? So those are the only things. So she asked me this question earlier. I didn't know it was for this. So what I told her is to build a pontoon out of one of them.
Okay.
And then fill it with.
We'll talk about this later, John.
Well, I haven't been.
Don't give it all away because that might be exactly what
y'all went totally different directions. I'm thinking, all right, we got to calculate the load of the kids.
Yeah,
that's also what I
will say, because I see where you're going.
The buoyancy force and all this stuff. So that's
I will say we're probably going to build 2 boats, and what I mean is we're going to build a test boat. We can't let the boat the first time it touches water.
No, for sure.
No,
we're gonna have to test it.
Yeah, we got to.
You have to race. You have to practice race.
Yeah, so we're actually
a submarine.
Yeah. So we're actually starting that process tonight.
That's so interesting because in college, one of our project, or it wasn't a project, it was an extracurricular thing the students could do. But it was a concrete canoe. And we actually built a canoe out of concrete and raced it, and it stayed afloat. It had like 4 students in it, so
it's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible. So Outpost 44 will make a resounding comeback. This is the comeback year for Outpost 44. Me and Pastor Gene, and we're all down there in it, and we're along with the commanders. We got a lot of new life down there. We're making a comeback, so it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, from Dina, question: what is your favorite meal your wife cooks?
She will sear some steaks every now and then, and because we don't eat a lot of red meat, we mainly eat chicken and whatever's not red meat, fish, stuff like that. We do a good bit like tuna, but yeah, when she sears steaks and she gets the fresh green beans, always fresh, never frozen, and then some twice baked potatoes.
Oh man, those are so good, dude.
That's pretty good. So, but really, whatever she cooks is all right as long as she used to get. You remember in hers where she said it was difficult for her to cook. She didn't like it. She did not enjoy it. Well, she did struggle with that. That was her little struggle, and she would not. To get out of it, she would get like nacho chips and put them in the center, and then put guac over here and salsa right there, and that was just.
That's okay.
What is it? Since that, other than that one, I'll periodically remind her about that. And I'll periodically remind her about it. But since that day, she is actually whatever she made has been very good. Now the elite level, now that's spending a little more money on your steak and those fresh green beans. So obviously, if you're going to drop that kind of money, you would like to get the higher quality taste and stuff, and she does. But that would probably be one of the better ones.
Well, I'm not getting in trouble by saying this because my wife would admit this too. That during the week we kind of just make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we have our easy, quick meals we do, but on Saturday nights we've actually been making it more like a family night where we'll have like a item or a menu. What am I trying to say? Recipe that we're trying to do that takes a little bit longer to make. Maybe an hour and a half or whatever. But one of the ones that she did a while back ago that I just absolutely loved was she makes a homemade chicken marsala.
What?
Yeah, she'll pound the chicken out real thin and she'll bread it and coat it in the breadcrumbs and she'll fry it and then
Nice.
she'll make like a nice little mushroom gravy over noodles and stuff with it. I'm like, man.
Anything that is
not gravy but sauce.
Right.
The meat and then the secondary name to the meat that's fancy.
Yeah,
The chicken
fancy.
marsala, not just chicken.
Yeah, chicken parmesan.
Yeah. Well, Parmesan. What'd you say?
Marsala.
Marsala.
Kristen makes a really good one of those too.
Yeah.
Kristen is an amazing cook. She always has been. One of our first dates, she cooked for me. Yeah, bacon wrapped chicken,
Oh man.
brown rice, green beans, the whole thing. And and so her mom's a good cook. She's always been an amazing cook. So man, when she makes sandwiches, her sandwiches are better than mine. Like it just is.
It's with love.
It
though.
is.
It's
The meat is folded better. Like the spread of the mayonnaise and stuff is better. Everything is better.
The cheese just fits just so.
Yeah, it's so. I've stepped up when we do steaks and stuff. I grill the steaks. I've gotten very good on the grill, but Kristen makes a really good salmon, like a pan seared salmon with cream dill. It's called like a cream dill sauce over it, drizzled over, and you put that over either with or without the orzo noodle bed on it. You put that over. Yeah, we did little like steamed Brussels sprouts and the whole thing. My kids love Brussels sprouts, which is kind of hilarious. But yeah, so we did all that here recently. That's probably my favorite.
That's pretty good. That's impressive.
We eat good at the Henderson house. We tend to try to make it a special deal when we come to the dinner table. But tonight's leftover night. So last question. This Wednesday, Pastor Zack spoke about the parable of the virgins, the 10 virgins, or the 10 bridesmaids. She put recap in parentheses. You want me to recap that? Okay. So you have 5 wise bridesmaids, the ones who brought enough oil for the groom, the 5 foolish bridesmaids who did not bring enough oil. There was a delay. The groom was late, and they all fell asleep. And around midnight, it was the cry that, "Here comes the groom." Everybody woke up, and they had been burning their oil all day, but the wise ones had enough oil to be prepared. The foolish ones are like, "We're out of oil. Can we borrow some of yours?" And they're like, "We don't have enough. Go buy some for yourself." So they ran off to go buy some. While they were gone, the groom showed up at the wedding celebration, and they all went inside, and the door was shut. And then the 5 foolish ones come back in and were like knocking on the door, like, we're here. And the groom's like, "I don't know you." And it's clearly a parable of Jesus coming for his bride, and for those that are prepared will be ready to go and be part of that feast, that celebration with him. And the ones that are not prepared, are not. But the question that Keeler has, and this is a question that we ask our adults on our Wednesday night Bible study. Well, this is not the question I asked, but this is her question. Would you have brought extra oil? Oh, is this like a reflective question you're asking us? Like, would we have brought? I mean, I would hope so. This is maybe, this is, I guess maybe, what does the oil represent to you?
This is a time period and culture thing.
Yes.
So without understanding culture of that time period and what's going on, it's very hard to relate and understand.
I taught on that.
Well, the way I kind of think about it is like in that time, in that culture, it would have been the mother or the matriarch side of the family's their responsibility to make sure everything in their house is in order. Like, and I guess that included oil for your lamps. And so I think it's illustrating that, like whatever God put you in charge of or responsible for, you've kind of slacked in that department. So I guess when it comes to his second coming and what we're supposed to be responsible for, obviously is our own spiritual walks, and then the spiritual walks of our family, who he's given us. And so it's basically, to me, it shows a irresponsibility on their part of ill preparation and getting too comfortable with your faith and getting too comfortable with.
That's clearly the parable, the point of it. And I mean, it's if you just go for what the intent of it is, you don't have to dig too deep or get too elaborate on it to just be like, here, be ready, put your emphasis on being ready and make sure you are. But living in America, South Carolina in 2025, I have some questions. So he was the only groom?
Yeah.
And there was 10 brides.
So this is bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is where the context of the scripture, and this is what I actually filled everybody in on this. This context matters, of course, to understand what they're trying to say. So this is speaking to a traditional Jewish wedding, and traditional Jewish weddings, the wedding would take place in the groom's house. It wouldn't take place like in a church or a temple. So traditionally, the bride would be at her house and with her family, and the groom would come from his house. Everyone would get to the groom's house. There would be bridesmaids, and today we see bridesmaids as being like for the bride. And actually back then they were kind of for both, but more for the groom. They're not bridesmaids as we think of them today. They were to escort them from house to house, and they had lamps with them to do that. They were like the processional, the celebration that is coming. So the groom went to the bride's house in this parable, and we don't see that. It's not talked about. But the groom did.
But it's kind of implied because they know what he's talking about.
They know what he's talking about. Yeah. So the bridesmaids are waiting at the groom's house, which is where the wedding is going to be. And as the groom approaches, they are going to light their lamps, and they're going to lead them into the wedding, and then go in with them. And so they're waiting on the groom to arrive, but there's a delay. And and of course we know the rest of the story. But I did think it's kind of interesting because they both had enough oil if the groom would be on time. Now this could be a whole nother podcast. We're not going to get down this rabbit hole, but the scripture says none of us know the day or time when the Lord comes. It will come again. And so there was perhaps a time where they thought all of them, that they were ready, but the foolish ones brought what they considered to be enough. The others brought plenty. And that just kind of speaks to definitely that we may think the foolish Christian or the foolish man may think going to church or wearing a cross on his shirt or just saying I believe in God is enough. But it's more than that. It's more than that. And there's something, and that's kind of, again, what we've been talking about here. We can do this life by ourselves, and we can struggle with it. And at the end of the day, we all have to ask ourselves, are we ready? Like, are we ready for that day? And for a lot of us, and for a lot of my life, I would say I was in church, I was in the right place, but my answer would probably be, if you get down to it, no. And I need accountability. I need people around me. I need that encouragement to help refine me and to help me be ready and best prepared to take advantage of every opportunity. I think ultimately that's what that parable is about. Take advantage of every opportunity, and not just opportunity as in moments, but opportunity as in your life. Every breath is an act of grace and mercy towards you. Like God's like, I'm not done with you. I'm giving you another chance. Are we capitalizing on that? So ultimately, that's again what this podcast is about: to take advantage of this opportunity, to be encouraged, to laugh together, to grow together, to be refined together, to be everything that He's called us to be. So, does anyone have anything else before we wrap this thing up? This has been a good one.
I'm good.
I think we've covered a lot tonight.
Yeah, we put a bow on it. Man, this has been a lot of fun this season, and we cannot wait for the more to come. And we know that there's going to be a lot of good experiences and good stories that we're gonna have.
And honestly, too, we didn't talk about this, but it might be scary after I say it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, if there's anybody out there that has a story they would like to share, meaning not like a silly story, but I mean a testimony.
Yeah.
Feel free to reach out to us, and we might be able to get back to you and see if you can be on here and share what the Lord's done in your life.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, reach out to us on social media, and we look forward to all of the great things that are going to continue to happen around this table. So it's been a great season. It's been a lot of fun, and we look forward to it, to season number 2 on the horizon. And say what? October, yeah, drop in October. Thanks, Keeler. Always there with a word of encouragement. October coming soon. October, season number 2. Until then, we do hope that you continue to stay sharp, and we'll catch you for season number 2.